Hello and welcome to another episode of Battle Ready.
Ready.
And today, we thought we'd talk a little bit about painting models.
Yeah.
So this isn't really a how-to. There's a lot of how-to videos by way more talented people than I am. So definitely check that out. But what I wanted to talk to you about today is the paint schemes.
Schemes.
Zinchian paint schemes. So I feel most comfortable. So when I paint, I feel most comfortable painting along the box art. So I have a couple of examples. I've got a Desolator, I've got a Vindictor and a Vanquisher here, but you can tell, and I'll put some pictures up so you can see them a little more closely, but they're just the standard box art. Hammers of Sigmar, red capes, blue capes, and gold armor. And I like them. I like painting that way. I think they look good. And frankly, when it comes to painting alternate colors, I get a little nervous. I don't want to pick two colors that I think are going to be okay, and then you paint the model, and then it looks like garbage. It's like, oh my gosh, he looks like a clown. You got clown painting. In fact, it's pretty rare that I go outside of the box, but I don't, it doesn't matter super much because you can always overpaint it, right? You can always just put other colors on there, paint over it. And I've done that before. You could always, if it really bothered you, strip it and reprime it, right? So it's not like you can ruin a mini by a bad paint job, especially with acrylic paints. But I really dislike painting. So I don't want to paint it, use up all that effort of something I don't really like doing, only to have to start over. Mm-hmm. And so for that reason, I mostly sort of stick to the box art. But Drake is a little bit more creatively free. He very much enjoys painting schemes different than the box art. So here are his Iron Jaws.
Iron Jaws.
All of them are red armored. And why red armor rather than the standard yellow?
I picked red armored because it looks more orky than the yellow, which I think is weird. Except for like Gorra, where it looks normal.
Okay.
And because mainly I wanted to play Bloodtooths with the pigs.
Yeah, I think part of it came from a particular sub-faction. Drake liked Bloodtooth, so
pigs.
Red. But also, you just really didn't like the yellow. Mm-mm. Now, did you not like the yellow because yellow tends to be harder to paint? Or did you not like the yellow because you just think yellow does not a good color for orcs?
I didn't like it because for the orcs, it felt too garish, like too bright for the orcs.
Okay, that's cool. So when doing Gordrak here, why did you decide to go ahead and go for yellow?
I went ahead for yellow because he's a named model. So I kind of wanted to stick more to the box art. Mm-hmm. Because he's technically in the Iron Suns and not in the Bloodtooths.
Okay.
And so I decided, I'll go with yellow. Plus I wanted to try doing this where I put ink on the yellow.
Yep. And I think it turned out pretty well. I'll put a picture of this up as well. But one thing that's pretty cool about Gordrak here that you did was you had his underside of Big Teeth here be red. Mm-hmm. But, in the box art, the underside is not red.
I think it's yellow and black.
I don't know. I think it might be green too. I'd have to double check. But why did you decide to go for red for the under and sort of depart from the box art?
I sort of did red because when you said that since green is a cool color, maybe red on the bottom would look nice.
Yeah, sometimes I know I like mixing hot and cold colors for sure.
And I also thought, well, I am going to be running them in Bloodtooth, so I still want to show the Bloodtooth colors. So I thought Big Teeth could have it.
That is a really cool. So I think most armies, when you're putting a whole army together, sometimes people do crazy cool stuff with conversions, and then they paint their whole army with, like a weird, like it's all turquoise or it's all magenta. And I have seen some stuff that people post online that just looks amazing.
Unreal.
Just so good. So good. And I really like it when this stuff is weird colors. I don't know that I want to paint the weird colors because I'm sure I would paint the model wrong 15 times before I got to a color scheme that I like. And I would just go crazy doing that. But I like to see it when it works. And so people only post the ones that work. It's very rare somebody posts like some garbage and they're like, yeah, didn't turn out great. I'm going to strip this. People don't tend to post those ones.
Yeah.
But that is a really good idea where if he's going to be running mostly with other blood tubes, it does sort of tie him into the army, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what about this war Chanta? Chanta.
That's the weird knob.
So he's got a purple cloak and then orange little
things,
sticky metal thingy things coming off him. So why did you go with those colors for this guy?
So I picked purple for his little cloak because that felt more orc wizardy.
Felt wizardy?
And the dark blue on the box would have been too hard to mix.
Oh, the color on the box is dark blue?
Oh yeah, real dark, almost black blue. I'm pretty sure. Whatever the color was, it would have been hard to mix.
So that's a good point too. I think sometimes people feel like, you watch a paint tutorial or you look at the box art and you're like, oh, I need Cantor blue. Well, I don't have Cantor blue, so I guess I can't paint this model. And don't ever do that. Because first of all, if you want a blue, like these, I think these guys, maybe these guys, are not done with Games Workshop paints. I mean, the Retributor armor, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But the blue colors, I don't think they're...
GW?
This guy no, I don't think he is. I don't think I used... Because I used contrast paints on the skin for this guy, the sort of teal color. Yeah. But the blue, and I think the blue on these guys are Army Painter paints. And they do not match exactly what the Games Workshop paints look like. But you know what they are?
Good.
Blue.
Oh yeah, blue.
You just use a blue, right? So if it's a slightly different shade, I don't think it matters at all. Or you can do what Drake did, which I think is even better. Who cares if it's a dark blue? Dark blue is not what he wanted, right? Mm-hmm. You thought purple looked better, so
yeah,
purple. Or maybe dark blue was too hard to make, and you're like, man, I'm going to waste paint. It's going to be a problem putting this together. And then what happens if I mix it all together and get the right color, but I don't mix enough? And then
I have to make another batch.
I have to make another batch.
Except
and
I don't remember what I did.
It's not going to be exactly the same. And so now it looks weird. So yeah, use a different color. It's all good. And I think it turned out great. And what I like is when you did the smoke here, you have red at the end. So he still ties in a little bit to the rest of the army. That is pretty cool.
And as for these little things, do you remember in the Fondia book?
Yes.
Where they were talking about how Amberbone was sort of...
Isn't that the Realm Stone?
Yeah, that's the Realm Stone figure.
Okay.
I put that in, so it's like more bestial than the other orcs.
I see. So that's like Amberbone. That's he's got Realm Stone all along his
cape. And that's like maybe what he's crunching up in here to make his little staff work.
Very cool. So I would be interested. So it's very, like I said, it's pretty rare that I depart from the box art, but I did depart recently. Let me grab those real quick. So just recently, I painted up some rock guts.
You did.
Drake took care of the bases, but I did the rock guts, and I did something different. So with these two here, and I'll put up bigger pictures.
Yeah.
But with these two here, I did sort of that muted color. Yeah. They're a little darker than the one on the box, but pretty close. Yeah. Pretty close. But then these two, I decided I was just going to try something different. So this guy, a little bit more vibrant. He's got a little bit more saturated color, the blue on him.
Mushrooms.
And then this guy, it ends up a little bit more teal-y. A little bit. There's definitely some green. So I was like, well, what if this guy was in some kind of real mossy cave?
Or maybe a wet cave, like had a lake in it.
Yeah.
He was eating some
lake
shrooms.
when he finally woke up and came out as a troll, he bears some of that green tinge. And I think they turned out okay. Yeah, I think it helped that they were trolls, right? So they're not very clean anyway, right? So it's not like, you look at it and you're like, oh, you messed up painting those, right? Because they're going to look how they're going to look. You could paint trolls basically any kind of color.
Yeah, and they'll look fine.
They're going to look fine. So that was reassuring to me. And we have now 12 rock guts. So this is only a third of our rock guts. And I got real sick of seeing the same color rock guts. I mean, they're cool because Drake has painted half of them. And I've painted half of them. They're cool. They're not bad.
Yeah.
But I just wanted more variety. So that sort of inspired me as well to try some different colors. But overall, I like, maybe it's like a safety blanket. I'm like 3 years old and I've got my blanket and I don't want to get rid of it, my pacifier. And I feel better painting to approximate the box art. And even then, I usually always paint the color scheme of the box art. So my Caradron is from Baraknar. My Stormcast is from Hammers of Sigmar. My each one, they're from whatever the normal faction
your
is.
squigs are from King's Gits.
Are from King's Gits, right? They're all from the normal faction. So, because one of the things that's great about this game is I can just say, oh yeah, even though they're all painted like Hammers of Sigmar, they're Hollow Knights this game.
Yeah.
And it's totally fine. Works out well. So overall, I think it's cool. I think it's fine. I think I should probably venture out a little bit more. I should just try some things, just see how it goes, and be a little bit more like Drake, a little bit more adventurous. What about you? What do you think about? How do you think your Bloodtooth's, the red armor? How do you think it has turned out?
I think it turned out pretty good, and it definitely would have been easier to paint than having to put on a full yellow coat. Yeah,
Yeah, yellow tends to be a harder color to paint. It takes more coatings of it to get a solid color.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard because the first time you paint it, you feel like, oh, this looks ugly. This looks awful. But if you get more coats and more coats, and often you can start with like a light brown or a tan to get a good base, and then you get yellow up from there. Or I think we primed him white.
Yeah, we primed him white.
So yellow from white is usually
better.
Okay. I mean, it's better than going from black. Yellow over black is the worst. That is the hardest. But yeah, I think this is a good reminder. Every time Drake gets to play his Iron Jaws, it's a good reminder to me to reach out a little bit and do things. But I think it's important too that when you are painting an army for an army game, there needs to be something that unites them. So like Drake has a little bit of red, even on guys that aren't mostly red, there's a little bit of red in all of them so that there's cohesion, right? Mm. And so you can't just paint one. I mean, you could, right? Yeah. There's no rules. But I wouldn't like to paint one guy some kind of crazy magenta and then the next guy some kind of crazy deep forest green. I mean, maybe and then the next guy. Yeah, I mean, so I do that with the
Skyfire, the discs.
The discs of Tzeentch. I paint every disc of Tzeentch real weird and different for sure.
Yeah.
But in general, I don't usually do that. And sometimes, I don't want to paint them all weird because then I'm like, now I got to paint the whole army all weird. Right?
That's why you could just be like,
that's another reason I sort of stick to the box art style anyway. And when I say paint it like the box art, what I mean is using a similar color scheme. I'm nowhere near heavy metal standards, right? I'm not painting. My guys are not as good as the box art is. I'm not trying to imply that at all. Mm-hmm. Just that the color palette I use very much resembles the color palette used in the photos.
What I thought we could maybe talk about this guy.
All right, what's up with that guy?
So this guy, so back when I was building these guys, mm-hmm. my first 3 piggies, mm-hmm. I decided, I'm gonna make this third one different. So for where there's usually a flagpole, I clipped off the flag part. Okay. And I stuck this on.
Okay, it's like a sort of like a totem or
yeah.
So that is another thing that's pretty cool about Warhammer, pretty unusual about miniature modeling, as opposed to a lot of other games, is you really can sort of
explore,
make the stuff the way that you want it, right? You can model stuff the way that you think is cool. Mm-hmm. Just because the instructions say put a flag on it, doesn't mean you can't say, no, I've got a better idea, mm-hmm. right? And make something that's truly unique and yours. And I think that's cool. Some kits have a lot of flexibility, like these rock guts where you can mix and match all kinds of different arms.
You can mix the arms.
Or the Blight Kings are like that, where you can mix and match all kinds of crazy stuff. The Chaos Spawn is like that.
I had crazy time.
So some kits are very open, and some kits are a little bit more closed.
Like
but
this one was real closed.
But even this guy, right? According to the instructions, here's the flag piece, stick it on him.
Yeah.
But even then, right? You don't have to follow the instructions. Just like you don't have to follow the paint scheme on the front of the box, you don't have to follow the instructions
on the inside of the box.
On the inside of the box. You can decide, nope, my guy wants a totem, not a flag. All right, cool. Well, let us know in the comments what you think. How often have you departed from, the sort of standard paint scheme? And what are your success stories? What have you done where you tried to paint some Stormcast that looked like rock soldiers, and it turned out amazing. You've got a whole rock soldier army now, right? Definitely let us know in the comments your success stories. What has been awesome that you've painted? This has been another episode of Battle Ready.
Ready.
Thanks so much for watching.